and I'm grateful that I got this wonderful audience. Thank you.
How does the most confident version of yourself look like? Think about it for a second. Imagine, not as an adult, mature individual, but as a kid. Today we live in a world which, on surface level, feels very modernized, right? Very advanced, very different than how it used to be, even 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And in this modernized, advanced world, two kind of individuals exist amongst all the people, even who are sitting over here. The first kind of individual is somebody who feels like we are on a roller coaster ride. There are ups and downs and ups and downs, and it feels like a journey, but a journey of thrill and excitement and joy, because we are brimming with opportunities and possibilities and everything exciting, and technology, by the way, doing anything and everything basically on the palm of your hand. So it feels like an exciting ride. And then we have the other kind of individuals. The other kind of individuals who feel that the world is not a roller coaster ride as such, but a chakravyuh. They feel like they are caught up in a chakravyuh of anxiety, nervousness, introversion, depression, distress, and constantly feel uncertain about who they are or what they want to be, beyond, of course, the curriculum of school and college. The question is, what is the biggest of difference between these two different kind of individuals? The first one, who is even willing to establish the biggest of startups when they are just 15 or 16-year-old, and the other one who is not able to develop a sense of certainty about who they are even when they turn 35 or 45 years old. And the answer is pretty simple: a voice. An inner voice, an inner monologue, which basically plays in the mind of all of you really. You are aware of that voice, constantly playing like a loop in your mind. The only difference is, for the second category of people, the second category of individuals, that voice is only critical. आइडिया तो देखो बहुत ही अच्छा आ रहा है स्टार्टअप का, बट आई डोंट थिंक यू शुड बी डूइंग इट. फैशन का तो बहुत ही अच्छा आइडिया आपको, बट आई डोंट थिंक यू शुड बी वेयरिंग द ब्राइट क्लोथ. समबडी एल्स मे बी, बट नॉट यू पर्टिकुलरली. And then we have the first kind of individuals who also have the same loop in their mind, the same inner monologue, but the monologue of self-confidence. But how does the self-confidence really look like in a person? Previous slide. The self-confidence can be defined with a very simple experience that I'm pretty sure all of you have. It's nothing too complex, nothing too technical. Just think about this particular moment when you were a 5-year-old kid. I don't want you to imagine too much. A very simple scenario. You, as a 5-year-old kid, you go to the balcony of your house or the terrace or anywhere really, in the open, looking up at the sky, and the stars are twinkling over there. The first thought that would come in your mind as that 5-year-old kid is not the theories of physics about why the stars are twinkling, or the theories of chemistry about the composition of those stars, or the laws of universe, or the logic or reasoning or anything else. Nothing like that. As that 5-year-old kid, the only thought that would come in the mind of that little child is, I want to reach those stars. I want to get as up close to those stars as I can and see them twinkling right in front of my eyes, even if I have to become an astronaut. I don't know what an astronaut does, how they become so, but I just want to be that. That unadulterated, uninhibited, honest, and most importantly, unacceptably specific, unapologetic, genuine self-confidence that we are talking about is what you have to build up if you really want to step out of the chakravyuh that we are talking of. Next slide. The walls of anxiety. So earlier I was giving the example of how a 5-year-old kid might look up at the sky and have the greatest of uninhibited ambition of one day becoming an astronaut and reaching those stars. By the age of 15, that changes, right? You don't have time to dream about becoming an astronaut. All that you have time is for completing 8 hours of school, then 8 hours of coaching, then 8 hours of assignments and homework. And I don't even know how within 24 hours all of that can be done by a 15-year-old kid, but that does happen. By the age of 25, you don't have time for creative ambitions here. You have to focus on first your 5-year plan, then your 10-year plan, then your 20-year plan, then apparently even your retirement plan before you turn your 30s. Because if you don't, then basically you are an unserious youngster who is just, wasting away the resources and possibilities in this modern world. There is no time to dream. There is no moment to envision. There is no specific even reason to think about the biggest of startups that you want to work on despite having all the knowledge and degrees and everything, because it's unconventional. And the reason why it's unconventional, despite being very fascinating and fun, is because of these walls of anxieties that as you grow up, you keep on building up around yourself. Next slide. Firstly, the wall of self-doubt. Right now, I'm wearing these very bright clothes, right? Very bright clothes. I hope you all are liking it. Even if you don't, apologies, but I don't care. Why? Because this is true by the way, when I woke up today, I had 2 sets of outfits prepared. This is very honest. One was like a very generic, grey blazer, grey shirt and blue trouser. And the other one was this, which I had just kept in my luggage for the sake of it. Ki agar man kiya to pehen lenge. And then I was like, should I? Like really on a TEDx platform, these bright clothes? Because there was a self-doubt that what if these clothes are good, but they don't look good on me specifically? Right? That could be the case. The uncertainty of something very simple. I'm not talking about something very high theory wala. This is a very simple scenario that you juggle with every single day, even when you come to college. You have the brightest of clothes in your closet that you have bought, by the way. Very expensive branded clothes. But the moment when it comes the time to actually put them on, you are like, अच्छे हैं, but मुझ पे अच्छे लगेंगे कि नहीं लगेंगे. And that moment of self-doubt helps you keep those clothes back in the closet. Next slide. Now self-doubt helps you with the second wall that you are surrounded with as well. Rather, it enables the second wall to grow taller and taller. The opinions. Even if I put on these bright clothes, my next bigger concern is, what if I'm liking it, but you all don't? What if I stand over here, I have like 200 people sitting in front of me and I love what I'm wearing, but you all are not smiling, you are laughing. And that fear of opinion should be more than enough for me to put these clothes back and put on the regular beige or grey blazer, right? And then we also have the third wall of anxiety. Next slide. Comparison. Let's say you go to a certain theater and you watch a movie with 5 of your friends. Fun experience, casual, nothing formal. And then you come out of that theater and you're wearing whatever you're wearing, you are eating whatever you're eating. But comes the moment to discuss about how that film was for all of you. You have a great opinion in your mind. But before even you start sharing your views, somebody else starts speaking. Now in that moment, the only thought that is running in your mind is, should you even share your thoughts or not? Is it even worth it at all? I stand here right now in these bright, bright clothes, and I'm the second speaker of the day. The first talk really blew my mind, how insightful and inspiring it was. And so, technically I should have been thinking, ki, Arey yaar, if somebody has already spoken so wonderfully, should I even go on the stage? Would there not be a comparison instantly? Not even in your mind, but in my own mind as well. That should technically be the thought as it is in the mind of most of the youngsters before you begin doing anything at all whatsoever. Which brings us to the fourth and final wall of anxiety, reluctance. You feel the self-doubt, you feel the opinions hammering on you constantly, you feel the fear of comparison, which finally brings to you a point of reluctance. क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है? Your friends are talking about the movie that you all have watched, you will not speak because क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है? You have the brightest of clothes in your closet, but you are not going to wear them. Just wear the regular ones because क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है? We all have insight, we all have opinions, but just because somebody else has been so insightful so far, why to even get on the stage and share your thoughts because क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है? And eventually, these four walls become so contained, these four walls become so restricting that there is no space left to even breathe, let alone dream or think or walk out of the chakra view of anxieties or nervousness that we are talking about. Next slide. 5 pillars of mindful introspective communication that you have to learn about. When you have to talk with somebody, let's say, hota kya hai, especially with youngsters, when somebody is going on the very first date, a friend of yours say that they are going on a very first date for the very first time, you try to give them some pointers, right? Because you have to talk with somebody else in that capacity and it can feel uncomforting. For majority of youngsters, that first conversation that you have even with yourself, the introspective, mindful conversation, can feel like that daunting first date. So what are the 5 pillars that you have to be aware of? Let's take a look at them. Next slide. Firstly, the context. Every morning when you wake up, generally for majority of young ones, the first thing that you do is quickly scroll through the posts, right? On any social media platform, anywhere really, you are scrolling through the post. ये influencer वहाँ की trip कर रहा है, वो influencer वहाँ पे cruise पे जा रहा है. This third influencer has bought a car, this fourth one is in a new relationship, and all that you are thinking about is everyone your age is thriving. They are doing the greatest of things, they are achieving the greatest of heights, while you are barely waking up from your bed at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning and still feeling groggy, by the way. And this is not something that you're telling yourself much later. This is the first context that you're feeling in your mind in the morning when you wake up. Instead, the context has to change when you have to have a mindful conversation with yourself. You stand up, you go to brush your teeth in front of the mirror. While you are doing that activity, the context that today you are feeling now, in order to come out of that chakra wheel of anxiety is, today, I am going to at least make an effort. I feel tired, I feel doubt, I feel uncertainty, but I am going to make an effort to improve myself in whatever capacity. Next slide. But just saying that is not enough because it's very philosophical. It's basically the same thing that any quotation wala page on Instagram might have told you as well. To get better, to be better, to improve yourself. Everybody says that. That is not enough. If you really want to motivate yourself, what you have to give, the context is the clarity of specifically what is to be done. In that morning, while standing in front of the mirror, I'm not just saying that today I am going to get better. I am being specific about it. Today I'm going to get better at exercising in the gym. Every day I go to gym, I barely work for 30 minutes. Today, I am going to make an effort to make it 45 or 50 if possible. Today, I am going to make an effort to write 5 chapters instead of just 2 as I have been doing for a very long time. That specificity of clarity of where you are trying to improve, when you communicate about that with your own self, is when you start feeling like, okay, this is actionable and not just some philosophical jargon in the quotation wala page. Next slide. Which brings us to the point of creativity. Sometimes, even that clarity or even that context can be just as frightening as possible because acknowledging that you have piles upon piles of paperwork pending or acknowledging that you have barely been going to the gym at all even though you have a membership since January can feel frightening, can feel threatening. And you just feel like, agar abhi tak kaam nahi hua hai, then why to even bother doing anything at all, right? That's when you have to be a bit creative. Not having a conversation with yourself in a very direct manner, but maybe sharing your insights with yourself in an indirect way. Pick up a piece of paper, start writing a story. A character who resembles you is not you, by the way, so that it does not feel threatening, but just resembles you, lives in a city like you do, is facing similar problems as you do personally in your life, and in that story you are writing, all the truths, all the realities, all the horrors and frightening moments of your life are getting penned down. Why? Because when you are doing that, you are adding a clear context in your own mind about what exactly are you struggling with, which by the way you're not even able to put in words when you think about your own self. Which brings us to the fourth point, connectivity. Sometimes the fear of being honest with yourself is not as big as the fear of being honest with the people around you. Much worse, the fear of communicating with yourself might not even be 10% of the fear that you have of communicating with others. Today we live in a world where whenever something like mindfulness or motivation or self-help or self-growth is talked about, the concepts that come to your mind or are talked about is isolate yourself, step away from the world, don't think about anyone for 5 months and just be in your own room, think about how to improve yourself, think about how to get better just by yourself, and trust me when I say this, that isolation is only making you worse. Even the students who are preparing for competitive exams, if you are just sitting in one room for 5 years straight while preparing for an exam, it's only going to deteriorate your mind, not going to build it any further. The people who actually feel a sense of self-confidence and are able to step out of any sort of tornadoes or chakravyuh of anxiety or certainty are the ones who are mindful enough to be in connection with the world that they are living in while being aware of the world within. When you are having those day-to-day conversations, maybe for not too long, you have a busy schedule, you have classes every morning, extracurriculars every evening, you don't have too much. But even a 15-minute conversation with a friend or a family member every night reminds you that you are a human being. The process of self-growth cannot make you feel like a robot, because if it does, then you're not growing. You're basically stuck in the same loop, as we call it, the chakravyuh. So that regular connectivity is very important, which brings us to the final point, the fifth point of consistency. All these steps that we have talked about, all the movements of how to develop your confidence, how to become better at who you are, and more importantly, just ambitious, they fail if one thing is not maintained: consistency. Even for somebody who takes the membership of gym, great. You have a great aim to work on your physique this year, you took the first step, but what of it? If you're not able to continue with the journey of actually going to the gym after the first week of New Year. It works out only when the efforts are maintained on regular basis. Nobody is asking you to spend 5 hours every day having introspective conversations with yourself or writing stories about yourself. All that is being asked of you is, if you can scroll through posts and reels for 1 hour, at least 1 hour every day, then you definitely can have that introspective, mindful conversation for just 5 minutes before going to bed or just when waking up. Next slide. The most important pillar that we can possibly talk about is that of self-appreciation. At the end of the day, it is pretty obvious that what is going to happen is you will make some effort will succeed, some will not. The dialogue that you feed yourself once again, the context that you feed yourself once again, has to be that of saying that even if I progressed just this much today, it's fine. I appreciate myself for it, and I promise that tomorrow I will make sure to do at least a little bit better. Because, next slide, we have to remember that mindfulness is a journey. Self-growth is a journey. And most importantly, building self-confidence is also a journey. If you feel that today you made some progress, but that progress was not enough, it has stopped you, it has made you stuck in a moment, in a loop as such, that you have tried out a billion times in past as well, then of course it's not going to result to anything. But it is only when you tell yourself that yes, Maybe today you try to improve yourself once again like you did a year back or 2 years back or 3 years back, but today you are telling yourself that tomorrow I will continue with this journey. Is when you actually feel like you are embarking on a pathway of self growth, even if it might be small but tangible, basically appreciable moments of progression one day at a time. So, whenever you feel anxious the next time, only think of what is the smallest of efforts that you can make regularly and consistently, because that is what is going to help you step out of the chakra view, not some complex theory. Thank you so much.